Saving money can be complicating, and it can also be tempting to spend what should be put aside. However, there are three processes people can go through to make saving money easier. The psychological process, the budgeting process, and the time processes are all ways that people can save money. Picture this, a 15-year-old girl living in a two-bedroom apartment with her three younger brothers and her parents. Money is tight and they never have much to work with. They always seem to just get by. A few years later, the same girl is living in a four-bedroom tri-level home with her same family. Most people would ask, how could this happen? And most people would assume that someone got a different job with a higher income. However, this happened due to the processes of saving money. The girl in the story was a friend of mine. Her name is Ashley Kramer. She got herself and her family out of poverty by simply saving money. She told me about the processes and I thought I would share them with you all today. Knowing how to be able to save easily will help and allow you to be able to save a larger sum faster and easier rather than just putting a large lumps of money aside. The three processes people can go through to save money are the psychological process, the budgeting process, and the time process. I first became interested in saving money when I was about 16 years old. I watched one of my friends, as mentioned before, go through a rough patch. I grew up in a middle-class standard family where I never had to scrounge or wonder where my next meal was going to come from. However, after watching firsthand how some people can struggle just to get through one day, I decided to save my money and not have to fear. Money establishes us. It determines the type of lifestyle we will have for ourselves. Money drives the economy and funds us with our basic needs to sustain a healthy lifestyle. First, I will discuss the psychological process. Then I will move into the budgeting process, and finally the time process. The first process is psychological when thinking of saving money. The psychology process is the first thing to accomplish. It is the state of mind when people would like to be in. The stronger the state of mind is, the better you will be. Ashley told me every single paycheck she would tell herself it is for a better life. She would then cash her check, put it in an old beat-up jewelry box, and then she would save it aside. Training your mind to believe you can do it is the hardest thing she had to overcome. I conducted an interview with Pamela Zielinski, a financial advisor, to get more info, and when I asked, what is the first step in saving any type of money at any time, she said, having the mindset is half the battle. One way to help the psychological process is to set up an automatic saving process. It helps individuals' brains redirect the current interest to spend money, which can then be saved. This can keep extra cash out of sight, which will then be out of mind. Another way to think before you spend. People buy on impulse and give in to their drives. However, if you think about non-essential purchases for a 24-hour period or longer, it can help to reduce the amount of money you spend. If you still want it after 24 hours, maybe it's okay to get it. However, if you forget about it, then chances are you don't need it. This will help keep extra cash out of mind and will reduce the amount for spending, and you will end up saving more than you spend in the long run. Start with the correct mindset. Having the mindset is half the battle. An automatic saving process and thinking of each non-essential purchase can help save extra cash. Budgeting is another step. It is the second step and can help improve money in which can be saved in a person's home life. Budgeting can be used to set aside money and determine what a person needs to be saved. According to David Willis, a financial expert, a budget can help coordinate a person's savings and improve living standards by identifying where areas of waste are being spent. And once we figure out where all money is lost, it can be easier to put a halt to this and set aside the money and save it. Create a percentage chart. A family can also budget themselves on what each part of their income should be spent on. David Willis suggests no more than 20% of a take-home budget should be spent on housing costs, 20% for food, and 15% for miscellaneous objects such as shopping, movies, and fun. When I questioned Ashley how she was able to coordinate saving with her parents, budgeting was one of her responses. In her case, each person put about $20 aside each week for food and $10 for fun. They each then split the bills in thirds, and whatever was left they set aside for savings. A budget really helped them to get out of the rut that they were in. When I questioned Pamela in a budget, she said that budgeting is another thing people don't realize can help save hundreds to thousands of dollars each and every year. Something as simple as an allowance each week to adjusting amount spent on other activities such as shopping could also help increase a person's monthly cash. When asked how a family could splurge every once in a while, she said, set aside a certain amount to put aside. Once that money is gone, do not touch any of your other money until the following week when you then again have the allowance to spend. A budget is something you see immediate results in saving money because it's a weekly compound put aside. Budgeting can save a ton of money by restricting what can be spent. Aside from the psychological and the budgeting process, there is another process I'd like to speak to you today, and that is the time process. The time process is the last process I would like to speak to you today. It is the putting a time on when you'd like to have a given amount of money saved, and it is the third step when it comes to saving money. Create a short-term goal within the stretch of time you want to save for. For example, a goal of $20 a week or month, rather than a longer-term goal, will make seeing the end easier and will make you feel like you are in goal and the end is in sight. When people have a longer-term goal, the end is not easily seen. People save more successfully when short-term goals are in sight. Ashley lived in an apartment her whole life. However, from the time she started saving money to the time she was about to move out was approximately 4 years. They put goals in 3-month increments so that they could see the light and actually feel like they had something to work for. And that made the end easier to accomplish and easier to see. Allowing yourself enough time to save, you won't feel as stressed out and will be able to save without feeling like you have no money for yourself. Allowing yourself enough time to save the desired amount is key to reaching your goal. A time plot is something that can enhance reaching deadlines more efficiently, and you'll see the results better by allowing yourself a decent amount of time to reach your goal. There is a key factor when trying to build your account. Saving money at your own pace gives you more time to save, and allegedly the more time you allow yourself to save, the more you can grow your account. The more successful you will be when it comes to racking up the money. People who do not allow themselves a good amount of time when it comes to building their accounts will find minimal success when it comes to building their accounts. The more time we allow ourselves to properly save up the money, the larger amount of money we will be able to save, and the amount of success comes from patience, and time is key. In closing, let me say how easy it is and important it is to save money. There are many processes we can take to save money. 3 of these include the psychological process, the budgeting process, and the time process. Money is a force that drives the directions of our lives in a way. If we would like to easily save money and not feel so overwhelmed, try doing these processes and see where it takes you.